Hey guys, what's up? This is your favorite gun channel, and this is Matt with Mitten State Firearms. And tonight we have a video for you talking about something that I think needs to be discussed a little bit more than it is. And that's the change in social climate and how it should change a little bit about the kind of gun that you carry and how you train. And I'm not talking about the brand of gun. I'm talking about more about the size of gun and specifically how you train with it, how you carry it, what you carry, and those types of things. And what I mean by the change in social climate is within the last decade, we've seen a whole shift in how violence happens, the types of attacks on people, the types of things that we see on the news. And usually what that is, it went from being more of a one-on-one type of deal where violence was more targeted one-on-one. And don't get me wrong, that type of violence still happens. But now we see more things on the news. We've seen violent riots. We've seen mobs take advantage of people of all different sizes, ages, races, everything. So I think what we need to start talking about is the kind of gun that we choose to carry every day. Like I said, I'm not talking about brands. What I'm talking about is forever, or at least in the recent years, when we talk about carrying guns, the number one thing that people look at usually when we talk about carrying a gun is how easy it is to conceal, which usually means it's a smaller firearm. And that's fine most of the time. If that's all you can handle, if that's all you're comfortable training with, if that's the only thing that you can actually conceal, that's better than not having a firearm, as long as you're trained to use that firearm. But what I'm talking about is starting to look into a little more of the compact size. Now, if you're unfamiliar with firearms, there goes full size, compact, subcompact. Subcompact firearms are usually the smallest. Compact being kind of right in the middle, full size being a full size gun, and then you have like long slide competition style guns, and those are usually pretty impractical to carry because they usually have a 7 or 8 inch slide on them, 6-inch barrel, something like that. Not really the best carry gun. Can it be done with the right equipment? Yeah, but there's also way more practical things that you can choose when we're talking about carrying guns. So one of the biggest things I see, I frequent gun stores pretty often, hear a lot of conversations in there, know a lot of people who sell guns, and one of the conversations that I hear the most is usually you get someone who comes in right after they got their CPL, their concealed pistol license, for those of you unfamiliar with the term. And they'll come in, they'll tell the guy working at the gun counter, I just got my CPL, I'm looking for a firearm. And the number one thing that I usually hear from the gun store clerk is, here, choose this one. This is the smallest one, easiest one to carry. And that's basically what they go by when they're trying to sell a firearm to somebody who just got their CPL. And like I said, that's not always the worst case scenario, but I think we do need to start reevaluating what we're looking at when we're choosing our carry gun. And why I think that needs to change. Most of your carry guns, for example, right here, this Glock 43, this is a very small subcompact carry gun. I will show magazine is empty. I'm going to put it back in the gun. The gun is completely empty. Chamber's empty. Feel it. Nothing in there. But as you can see, this is a very small gun. I have pretty big hands. That gun pretty much disappears in my hand. Now, this is a decent carry gun because it is so small. But like I said, 6+1 rounds, so you have 7 rounds in here. And even with an extra magazine, which I always recommend carrying an extra magazine, this is kind of impractical. Mostly because there's not really long distance accuracy in a gun that's so small. And we've seen recently with the Indiana shooting, the shooting that happened in the Buffalo grocery store, the one in Indiana was kind of prevented after a few deaths. It was kind of prevented by a shooter. He was 40 yards away with a subcompact firearm. I hear a Glock 19. I'm not 100% sure on that, but that's the stories I've read have said that he was carrying a Glock 19. And what that guy did is he found concealment, not cover, but concealment, got his girlfriend out of the way. And it was said that the first shot that he made from 43 yards on the assailant was the one that put him down. And then he continued to fire 10 more rounds, hitting him 8 times, stopping the threat. You're always trained to shoot to stop the threat. And even though the first round put him down, the reports say that the guy was still on the ground. he was still a threat. He was still able to maneuver his firearm, and the guy shooting up the mall had a rifle. So this guy was already at a disadvantage with a pistol against a rifle, but he took care of business, and he was carrying a subcompact firearm, so something a little bit in the middle range. And I get a lot of the time I hear people say, well, I can't conceal a subcompact firearm. I can't conceal something that gets 15 rounds. But with the right equipment and the right clothing, you can. What we have here is a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 9mm. I will show that this is also clear. There's your magazine. You can see the follower. Put the magazine back in. This is completely empty. Chamber check. Nothing in there. This gun is completely empty. And see, now this one is a lot bigger, fits in my hand a lot better. You have a 4-inch barrel on this one. The slide is a lot longer. You have a longer sight radius. What that means is from your back sight to your front sight, the distance is longer, which makes the gun more accurate always. That's a rule of thumb, is the longer sight radius is the more accurate the gun. The gun is accurate. It's up to you to actually be accurate with it, so make sure you train with it. But that's a little bit bigger of a gun. And when people say that you can't conceal a subcompact gun, that's absolutely not true. As you can see, I have a t-shirt on. This is about the same outfit I wear everywhere I go. And I am concealing a Glock 32, empty magazine, firearm is empty, chamber check, nothing in the firearm. We are good to go. I can conceal this with, like I said, I talk a lot about holsters. This video is not about holsters, but this is the rig that I choose to wear with this. As you can see, I have an extra magazine. This is a Glock 32, a 357 SIG. Pretty spicy round. It's pretty much just a beefed up 9mm, but this is one of my guns that stays in my carry rotation, one of the ones that I train with, one of the ones that I'm comfortable with, and one of the bigger ones that I have in my carry rotation. This one also has a 4-inch barrel with a longer sight radius. This gun's going to be a little bit more accurate than the smaller Glock 43. You can see the difference here. The 32, which is on your right, is a much larger frame firearm. This is a single stack, 6+1 in this gun, 7 rounds total. And then this one is 13+1. In the 9mm version of this, which would be your Glock 19, you carry 15+1, so 16 rounds total. With, if you're carrying in this same type of rig, you have your spare magazine. So I have 13 rounds in this magazine, 13 rounds in the magazine and the gun, and then I always have one in the chamber. I always carry one in the chamber. If you carry and you don't carry one in the chamber, I highly suggest that you start. It's kind of hard to train to rack around in the chamber while engaging somebody. I mean, it can be trained, but it always takes a little bit more time. There's all kinds of videos on that. I'll do a video on that if you want me to. And it's just smarter to carry with a round in the chamber. If you don't, it's kind of like trying to put on your seatbelt before getting into a car accident. Just not that great of an idea. But as you can see throughout that whole video, I had that on. And maybe you could tell, but probably not. I carry it every day. I carry a gun every day. This is one of the ones that's in my carry rotation. I make sure I train with all the guns that I carry. But most importantly is that you train, you put yourself in those types of situations. They say that your body can't go where your mind hasn't. And what that means is that if you are in a situation like that, God forbid, and you are in a mall and someone starts shooting and you're the one that has to protect yourself, your loved ones, and other people in the mall, it's going to be a lot easier to do so when you have 27 rounds of a 9mm or 357 SIG, 40 cal, 45, whatever, and a gun that has a 6-inch slide and is going to be much more accurate at further distances than, say, this small gun here with a 3-inch barrel, 6+1 rounds. Ideally, yeah, the first 2 rounds, a double tap to center mass does a trick. Things don't always work out ideally. That's not always what's going to happen in a situation like that. But as long as you're trained and you can comfortably carry a larger firearm, I think that you should. Any of these products that you see and you want to know more about, just message me. I'll do a video specific on every piece of equipment I have up here, whether it be the holsters. This exact holster is a Tier 1 concealed Axis Slim. One of my favorite holsters, definitely my favorite holster company, but like I said, this video is not about holsters. But for all intents and purposes, this is the one that I choose to carry in my daily rotation. I've got quite a few of these. I love them. I suggest them. 10 out of 10. Best holster company in my opinion. But there are a few other good ones out there that I will suggest. But that's the gist of the video. I think we need to start talking about that more. Is that this is no longer the wild, wild west. It's no longer meet me down at the saloon for a duel with a 357 revolver or 44 mag or whatever the case may be. This is where we're in times now where a lot of the times it might be a mass shooter in a mall, unfortunately, or you might be in a grocery store and someone might come in shooting, and you might be the one, you should prepare to be the one to stop the threat. And you should put yourself in the best position to do so. And by doing that, I would strongly consider carrying a larger frame firearm, a larger capacity firearm, something like this rig where you can carry an extra magazine. Or if you can't carry an extra magazine in your holster, if that's not comfortable for you, it's not going to be comfortable for everybody to carry a firearm that way. But there's all sorts of magazine pouches that clip into a pocket, other ones that clip somewhere else on the waistband, inside the waistband, outside the waistband. Know your options. If you have any questions about those kind of products, go ahead and message me and I'll direct you to all the sites that I think are a great site to get that kind of information and those kind of products from. But I think that this needs to be talked about more. This needs to be trained more. The gun salesmen need to focus more on this rather than just picking out the gun that's easiest to conceal, because that's not always going to be the one that's going to be the most efficient in an actual gunfight. And we need to start thinking about being in an actual gunfight and the kind of materials that we want in that gunfight. There's a reason that military and police officers don't carry a 6+1 tiny little subcompact gun. It's not efficient in that situation, but the larger frame ones are. A lot of officers carry a Glock 19, a SIG 320. This is actually an M&P, which stands for military and police 9mm. So this is one that officers carry often, and I'm not saying because an officer carries it, it's right, but what I am saying is that they usually are putting themselves in the best position to win in a gunfight, and that comes along with training and having the right equipment. So like I said, if there's any questions about any of this material that I've shown tonight, go ahead and shoot me a message and I will direct you. If you want to know more about any of this material in another video, go ahead and shoot me a message. Tell me you want a review on the M&P 9mm 2.0 or a review on the Glock 32 357 SIG. Why do I choose a 357 SIG over a 9mm? Well, I don't, but that's for another video. If you want to see that, I'll make a video about that. Like I said, message me if you want to know anything else about any of the equipment that was talked about in this video. If you have any other questions about the video, go ahead and shoot me a message. If you could, like, share, subscribe. We're going to be doing a giveaway at 1,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. So go ahead, tag your friends, share the videos, do whatever we can. The giveaway is going to be a good one. Like I said, hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the page. We're going to have content coming out all the time, and it's going to be stuff that you don't want to miss. All right. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.